Pioneers closed out the 2018-19 season with the trip to the Pilot Flying J South Atlantic Conference quarterfinals and their first home game in nearly a decade for Tusculum University. Hello everyone, I'm Brian Stayton, joined by Pioneer coach J.T. Burton in his first year guiding the Pioneers to 16 wins and the number 4 seed into the postseason. Coach, welcome in, and obviously a lot of turnaround for this team this year, and I know it's a lot of stuff that you probably don't want to listen to a whole lot, but the way the team finished up here in the last week heading into the postseason as we basically recap that part of the year. LMU, Wingate, knew you had to win both of them to get that home game, and you did it. I'm not going to say monumental feat, but from where this team came from, it was a monumental feat. It
was. I mean, you go back with the history and the 24-game losing streak with LMU, and then Wingate having pressure to sweep them, and you hadn't done that in a long time. So it was one of those tasks when you look at the schedule is you like, as a head coach, you're like, boy, I hope we can pull this off. And the kids really did, and they responded.
Pioneers earning the number 4 seed and earning a chance to be at home playing in front of the home fans just before spring break and just heading into the quarterfinals, hoping to get their first semifinal appearance into the South Atlantic Conference tournament in the first time in over a decade as well. Well, the last time the Pioneers hosted a game, they were the 2 seed. They hosted the Carson Newman Eagles at that time and bowed out. This year, they hosted the Lenore Bears, who opened up 6-0 on the season and finished the season with the flurry. Now the Pioneers earning a 2-point win against the Bears the last time they faced off. Let's take a look at the highlights of the Pilot Flying J South Atlantic Conference quarterfinal from Pioneer Arena. And a very defensive game the last time that you guys played, and Corey Thomas and company, I think, for LR took it upon themselves that what they have done here in this postseason here of late is just driving it to the rim.
Yes, I mean, that's what they really did. I mean, I thought we started off pretty good making shots. You see Don Donaldson hitting the shot there and Caleb hitting the first shot. But the thing they started to do, as you see, is getting the piece of the paint. That's what we preach, and I thought they did a really good job the second half, especially doing that.
The Jabril Jallo, Corey Thomas have been strong, obviously, all season long, and this guy has too. Earned Conference Player of the Week honors for the second time. And Donaldson early in the contest really looked very comfortable, and I know that it's important to get him going early.
Yes, we tried to, and we knew how they was going to guard him. We knew they was going to, kind of take him out of the offense. But he did a really good job of staying within himself and staying within the offense and getting other people involved. As you see, he throws the ball back to Caleb Hodnett hitting the 3.
Yeah, and Hodnett hitting a couple early, and I thought, well, here we go. We're off and running, and it's the type of start you've needed. Trenton Gibson, we're going to talk a little bit more about his game a little bit later on as well. That's the largest lead of the contest for the Pioneers right now, and LR seemed to really settle in. But the start that you needed, you got, because we haven't done this. We like spotting teams a whole lot of points, but we didn't do that in the quarterfinal.
No, we didn't. I mean, that shows growth as a team, mentally. It's coming out, especially being at home and in a big game like this, hadn't hosted a first-round conference game. To be able to come out and get a good start, a fast start was good.
Well, what the Bears did do, Simmons here, finishing on the first half on a 13-4 run, going into the locker room with the lead. Dylan Smith seems like a guy that just picks his spot to hit big shots and ties the game up.
He did. I mean, you see him right there hitting that big shot, and as they come back down, they get the offensive rebound. That's what wanted the thing that killed, especially the second half. But yeah, Dylan done a really good job of picking and choosing his spots and making those shots. Missed
shots with guard penetration, and Corey Thomas is too fast. He did that all game. Would force tempo a lot, get into the in transition. Thought him, John Jean, and Jabril Jallo did a exceptional job. And then in the second half, they did a good job on Donaldson, really forced him to be more of a distributor than a scorer.
Yeah, and he did. I mean, he done a really good job, as you've seen him kicking the ball out to Trent Gibson in the corner for the corner 3. But they did a really, really good job of staying with their game plan, and that's getting the ball in the paint.
Points in the paint. Bertrand Awana there set a conference record after the tournament was over with, went 18 for 18 in the tournament. Most of them were very high percentage. Most of them were above the rim, but broke the old mark held by a former friend of mine, Jeff Marshall at Carson Newman. And we see Brandon Mitchell wasn't that much of a factor in the game, but that gave this Pioneer team a huge boost and brought them back and a little bit more fight.
Yeah, we needed that. I mean, we needed a little spark, and he was able to get the putback dunk for the foul, but unfortunately came down on somebody's ankle and kind of tweaked his ankle a little bit.
Darius Simmons, who finished the season red hot from three-point territory, hitting 63% from three, giving the Bears the lead. This was the shot I felt like, all right, we're over the top. When Dylan Smith hits the three, I thought we're off and running. But once again, their game plan was to penetrate, go after it, and Awana was big again. And
on the defensive end, we didn't do a good enough job of keeping them out of the paint. I mean, because that's what they was doing. Because then you seen they would take a shot and Awana would rebound, especially the weak side rebounding. And he done a really good job of doing that.
Neither team had more than a single-digit lead. LR's lead was no more than 4, as you just see here during the late stages. The one thing that we never were able to really do was get that offensive rebound. And they were able to get an offensive rebound with the game tied. Thought this was the biggest shot of the game by R.J. Gunn.
Yeah, it was. It was a big shot. And one thing we was unable to do as well, not only keep him out of the paint, but with dribble penetration, is get Don Donaldson going the second half. Because, they did a really good job of shouting him, making sure they have 1 or 2 guys, maybe 3 guys on him at times.
Bears trying to cap off this flurry of a run, which they did. And the only double-digit lead of the contest came in the final minute. The Bears get the victory, and they earn their 20th win of the season. You're talking about a once-proud program for the Bears as well, having a lot of success. Just a couple of years ago, Keenan Palmore, Ryan Odom, and company led the Bears into the NCAA tournament. But they didn't get to 20 wins that particular year. This time, the Bears win their first game at Tusculum's Pioneer Arena for the first time in postseason play. They'd played only one other time and lost 46-44. The Bears take the series. They win the rubber match there in the third game by that final of 69-58. Thing that stuck out for me was just the fact that we didn't get second chances. 5 offensive rebounds for the team that led the conference in offensive rebounds per contest. And they did a really good job making sure we didn't get those second chance opportunities.
Yeah, we didn't do a good job of rebounding the ball, and that's our Achilles heel is offensive rebounds. As you said, we average, 15 a game, and we didn't do that. We don't have 5. So when you're playing a good team like that, and I knew they was going to come out and be ready to go, they got the 2 senior guards, and those guards picked it up towards the end when they needed them.
And their dribble penetration hurt. Trent Gibson hurt them much of the game. 22 points, a new career best for him. That's a kid that's been doing that all season long for you, and just didn't get that help. We didn't get that third scorer that kind of usually always just steps up and scores in a big way. Just didn't have that on that.
No, we didn't. We kind of missed Tariq Jenkins as well. Mm-hmm. I mean, he was out with a knee injury, and he was averaging 12 points a game. And, I'm one of those guys that's like, next man up. But it showed. I mean, it showed right there. But, hats off to Lenore Ryan. They did a really good job of keeping us, sticking to their game plan, and we just didn't make shots.
The Lenore Ryan Bears would get the win against the Pioneers. They would actually go on to compete for the championship as well in the tournament. A little old school feel against Catawba, the 2 seed. It would be the Catawba Indians that would get that win. Those 2 schools have been playing in the league in Division II since 1991. And over their careers, 210 meetings. The 211th would happen in the championship game. For the first time ever, those 2 would compete for a South Atlantic Conference tournament title won by Catawba. When we come back, we'll chat with Coach Burton about how the season has gone and what the future may hold for Tusculum. That's when we return right after this.
Ready, set, go to Johnson City Toyota, where new Tacomas start at $309 a month with 0 down. Drive the all-new RAV4 for $209 a month or save over $4,000 on Highlander. See more great deals at johnsoncitytoyota.com.
Welcome back into Pioneer Basketball with Pioneer coach J.T. Burton. For the final time this year, we get a chance to talk with you about, I know you don't want to hear it, 16 wins for this Pioneer team, this Pioneer program here over the last couple of years hasn't necessarily been attainable. Trenton Gibson earns the Freshman of the Year, first time since we had a young man in here named Keith Jumper who could jump out of the gym. Seems like just about 6-7 years ago. Don Donaldson played like a player that we hadn't seen, as well. I think it was a rough start for you, just trying to get guys to buy in. Talk about the season, talk about how the year began and how difficult those steps were to see the fruit of your labor at the end of the year.
Well, when you get a lot of guys, coming in, we're coming out of the third, I think, head coach in 3 years, and you got guys that's been here, you got guys that's new guys that's coming. And we knew at the beginning of the year when we started conditioning and working out. It was going to be tough. We knew. I mean, because you got to get guys to understand that, hey, I'm here for the long haul. The staff is here for the long haul. We're going to get this thing turned around. We got to do something special. But it takes a lot of hard work and a lot of dedication and a lot of demand on and off the court. And I always preach to the guys that it didn't matter. You got to stay within the locker room. And at the beginning, when you start off 0-4 in the conference, it was kind of rough. I mean, it was kind of hard. The guys didn't see it, but they stuck with it. You know, guys stepped up, and they kind of formed a family of its own, and the record showed.
The Pioneer team that did start 0-4 in the league, it was the trip I felt like to Burton. It was a long trip, 6.5 hours down there to Wilson, and the Pioneers rallied from behind. Now, it wasn't the rallying cry per se, because we come out of the Christmas break with the loss to Belmont Abbey and then 2 other losses, and then we capped off our 0-4 start in the league with a road trip to Hickory, North Carolina, and lost that game. But then I saw the last 4 minutes. We're back for the entire game. I'm thinking, well, we're out of this. And then you guys showed me a lot. The second half team all year long, and I think it was that game to me that I realized they can compete if they have some confidence. And then we started to gain a lot of that confidence. Double-digit winning percentage down the final stretch. 11, now 12 of their final 16 they had won to end the year. And a lot of that had to do with just leadership and belief and an overtime win against Wingate, and I think really set that in motion. How much fun was it for you down the final month and a half of the year?
It was unbelievable because, guys, you know, you go into a place like Burton, and they picked us apart the first 25 minutes of that game with our zone. And then we made a few adjustments, and then guys start to believe. And as I told you, the one big thing I always look for is the little things. During the game is how the huddle and people start to take care of themselves and put guys in the right position without me having to say everything. And then, you know, that right there was a kind of defining moment for our team because we kind of turned the corner as a team. And I know we lost some games, some close games, but it was unbelievable, man. You come in that stretch and guys started to believe and they started to understand the concepts of the zone and what we needed to do offensively and the dedication and the hard work it takes to win games.
You talked about the difficulty in the league this year. LR, who just defeated Tusculum to end their year in the quarterfinal, went on to defeat Queens. They defeated Queens, the only team in the league to do it, and they did it twice this season to earn that trip to the final. So as you reflect, as you've taken a step back here over the last couple of days and look back on the league and Tusculum in itself, what are some of the things that's come out that feels that you need to do going forward here at Tusculum?
The one thing that sticks out to me is how good of players that they are in this league. I mean, this league is really good, and then the way guys shoot the ball. I mean, you got guys that shot takers, and there's a lot of shot makers in this league, and we figured it out fast. I couldn't believe it. But one thing we have to do is continue on, you know, sticking what we know, what got us to this spot so far, and then, you know, we got to go out and recruit a couple more guys at a couple of positions, and hopefully we can just carry this thing, take the next step, and that's what you got to get guys to understand. And I think it'll be easier for us because you got guys like Zach Harder, who redshirted, who's been here. It's his 5th year. He got to see the big picture from afar, and the guys who is playing, who's been here, and the guys who are returning, they get this understand. They see now, if we do this, we can win these games. So we just got to get better, and you know, the preseason, off season, we got to work harder.
I think what Pioneers will see too is that when you bring in good players, the competitive nature of returning players will elevate their game as well. And a guy that walked in this season as a freshman, you earned Freshman of the Year with Trent Gibson. So let's expand a little bit more on just his season and how important he was to you and the Pioneers' success.
Well, it's a funny story about Trent now. When I was an assistant at Morehead State University last year, Trent, I called him about, you know, just to recruit him, and Trent's phone, I guess, automatically, if you don't answer, they don't know the number, it's got to set up where it blocks you. So I talked to him one time, and then me and him did not hit it off at all. And so we didn't really talk, and I knew his coach, though, Barry Workman, and I called Barry a couple of times, and I talked to his father. When I got this job, he was the very first kid I'd offer because I knew Trent could be special. I recruited him for almost 2 years, and once he got here, you know, Trent's a smart kid. I mean, he's a very good student as well. And when he got here, he understood, he bought into what we were selling. Because he come from a winning program. Kid wasn't used to losing. He had only lost probably 11 games at the most from his sophomore year to his senior year in high school. So with that being said, he knew he was got to take on a totally different role. He came here, he bought in, and he understood. Trent, people will understand, Trent would run 1 or 2 miles and do a full workout the day of the game. And that's what got him. That's what people don't see. And that's why he won the Freshman of the Year.
Freshman of the Year, Trent Gibson, and then second team All-Conference Donovan Donaldson, and total opposite, a guy who was not accustomed to winning when he was here at Tusculum, and you really had to work on him and change his whole mindset.
Yes, it was vice versa, as you said, because Don is a very, very talented kid. And I knew that, you know, my biggest thing is I was going in at first, how was he going to adjust to me? Not knowing I had to adjust to him, and that's what we done. I mean, at the Catawba game, at Catawba, he and I before then, I just told him, hey, you're not going. And after that, the kid, you know, he changed. He changed for me, and he changed. We both, you know, kind of adjusted each other, and he became a second team all-conference player.
Well, a Pioneer team that obviously huge steps this year, huge strides. Not good enough for this guy right here. He's not real happy with the way they finished the year as far as their overall win-loss record, so they wants to start off a little bit better. A team that went a long way to start the year from November through December. We're actually the end of October, traveled a bunch of miles, somewhere in the neighborhood of like 7,000. It was quite crazy. But I also believe it built that bond, and it took a little while for the team to gel. They eventually did gel and finished the year at 16 and 13, winners of 12 of their final 16 in South Atlantic Conference play as well. Was it remarkable? From my perspective, yes, because I've been around here where we haven't had a player of the week for the last decade, and I've been around here where we haven't had a home game in the South Atlantic Conference tournament in over a decade, and the Pioneers were able to do that. So your challenge now becomes great, and we wish you the very best, and we'll see you down the road. It's camp time, so make sure you visit the website to get camp time, because I know that's an important part of sometimes recruiting, drawing in some young kids, bring them into camp.
Yeah, we will have camps. I mean, the camp dates haven't been all adjusted yet, but once we get them out there, we'll put them all on social media, on the website. And so all the little kids, parents, bring your kid to camp.
This guy's looking forward to maybe future Pioneer in the making somewhere around. We hope it could be you. For everyone behind the scenes here at Tusculum University and the Pioneer Sports Network, Nick Forsberg, Dom Donnelly, and Jim Miller, this guy's J.T. Burton in his first year, directing the Pioneers to the 4 seed, looking for bigger and better things in the future. I'm Brian Stayton, and until next season, go Pioneers.